1:52 a.m. on Highway 93. Montana's winter sky hangs like black glass, stars sharp as ice. The road is empty, the world bone cold. Daniel Carter's pickup hums through the dark, heater groaning. His shoulders stiff from 12 hours at the freight yard and a lifetime of learning how to hold himself together. Something wavers in the headlights. At first, a plastic bag, a ghost of trash. Then it staggers. Small. Human. His foot slams the brake. Gravel spits. The truck jerks to a stop, beams pinning a tiny figure on the shoulder. Barefoot, blood on the snow-dusted asphalt. A white nightgown flapping around bird-thin legs. Tangled hair. Lips blue. Eyes too old for 7 years. Daniel grabs the emergency blanket he's kept since Emily was born and steps into the knifing cold. He lowers his voice like he would with a frightened fawn. "Hey, sweetheart. My name's Daniel. You're safe." She sways but doesn't run. Up close, the cuts on her feet look like hot coals pressed into skin. "I'm looking for my mommy," she whispers. "What's your name?" "Lily." "That's a beautiful name. My little girl's Emily. She's 6. How old are you?" 7. "Okay, Lily. Let's get you warm first." In the cab, heat wraps the air. Daniel reaches for his phone. The girl's voice stops him, paper-thin, breaking. "She's not coming back." The world tilts. He dials anyway. Ambulance, sheriff, anyone. As sirens begin to rise in the distance, Lily's fingers clutch his sleeve like an anchor. He doesn't know it yet, but months from now, this same hand will tug him close, and for small words will split his guarded heart wide open. If you love emotional and heartwarming stories, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell, so you'll always be the first to hear our next story. Now, let's begin. Sirens stitched the dark into something survivable, and red-blue light finally swallowed the emptiness of Highway 93. By the time the ambulance doors closed on Lily's small frame, Daniel had already decided he wasn't letting her face the next hour, much less the night, alone. Missoula General rose out of the frost like a white ship, fluorescent and awake. Daniel followed the ambulance through the sliding doors, the cotton smell of antiseptic and hot coffee washing over the cold in his bones. The emergency department thrummed. Voices layered over monitor beeps, shoe squeaks on polished floor. He kept Lily in sight as they guided her to pediatrics, a wet-eyed sparrow wrapped in an oversized blanket. "Mr. Carter?" A woman in a navy cardigan stepped into his peripheral vision, clipboard hugged to her chest. "I'm Melissa Collins, the on-call social worker. We'll need a brief statement, but first, Lily's asking if you can sit with her while the nurse checks her vitals." He blinked. "She wants me. She said you're the one who stopped," Miss Collins said softly. "Sometimes that's all a child needs to know." Pediatrics tried hard to be cheerful. Walls painted with blue mountains and foxes. A paper rocket ship taped crookedly near the nurse's station. In a small room with a view of the snow-glossed parking lot, Lily lay under blankets so big they made her look smaller. Her bandaged feet rested on a pillow. Her eyes lifted at the sound of Daniel's boots. "Mr. Daniel," she murmured, relief loosening her mouth. "You didn't leave." "Not going anywhere," he said, setting the plastic chair close and lowering into it like a promise. The nurse slipped a cuff around Lily's arm. "Just a gentle squeeze," she said, and Lily watched Daniel instead of the rising numbers. Warmth came in increments. Blankets fresh from the warmer, a styrofoam cup of broth she held with 2 hands, the tremble in her shoulders easing from earthquake to aftershock. Daniel answered questions quietly. Where he found her, how long she'd been walking, what she'd said in the truck. He kept his answers clean of judgment. The room had too much of it already. When the nurse left, Lily traced the rim of the broth cup with a finger. "Will they find my mommy?" "They're looking," Daniel said. He chose each word like stepping stones across a river. "But no matter what happens, you won't be alone." Her eyes, too old, too knowing, searched his face. "Did your little girl ever get left?" He swallowed. "Emily's mommy died. We miss her every day." "So you know," Lily said, as if this stitched a hidden seam between them. She edged her hand across the blanket. He met it halfway, their fingers resting, not grasping, not clinging, just there. He should have gone home. He should have checked on Emily, kissed her forehead, reassured her that the world still had a shape to it. Instead, he texted Mrs. Hernandez down the street. At hospital with a child. Emily okay? The reply came quickly. Sleeping like an angel. I'm here until morning. Don't worry about a thing. Hours thinned. The pediatric ward shifted from urgent to hushed. Miss Collins returned with a measured voice and a paper cup of something that claimed to be coffee. No sign of the mother yet, she said. We found an abandoned sedan 20 miles south. Clothes in the back seat, snack wrappers, no plates. We'll run the VIN. Family? Daniel asked. We're checking interstate databases now. She hesitated. Tonight, the safest place for Lily is here. Tomorrow we'll plan next steps. Could I? He surprised himself. Could I come back after work tomorrow? Just to sit with her? Miss Collins studied him. People often offered warmth that cooled by morning. If you say you will, she said finally, then do. I will. He did. The next day and the next, he arrived after the freight yard, hands still nicked from pallets and cables, a little bag from the gift shop swinging at his side, crayons, a puzzle, a paperback with a brave mouse and a candlelit tunnel. Lily waited with the patient intensity of someone who understood time mostly as loss. When he came, she smiled like the clock had chosen mercy. On the third evening, she asked without preamble, why did you stop when other cars didn't? He thought about the dark road, the white of her nightgown in the headlights, the thin line between luck and a life rewritten. Because I'm a dad, he said. And every kid is someone's, even when the world forgets. Even me. Especially you. He brought Emily on the fourth night. He'd prepared his daughter with careful, small truths in the drive over. Her name is Lily. She's 7. She's had a hard time. Be gentle. Emily listened with solemn gravity, then insisted on packing offerings. A sticker sheet, a stuffed unicorn with a repaired ear, the Brave Mouse book she could almost recite from memory. They entered Lily's room like a sunrise. Emily waltzed to the bedside and set the unicorn carefully by the pillow. He's magical, she declared. He keeps bad dreams away. He kept mine away when Mommy went to heaven. Lily's face did something new. Hope flickered and didn't die. Do unicorns share? Only with sisters, Emily said, and then, as if fixing the world with tape, we can be sisters for practice. They colored. They put princess stickers on the four-pole, the monitor, Daniel's jacket sleeve. Lily touched everything as if it might vanish. Emily narrated the story of the brave mouse in dramatic whispers, adding sound effects that made Lily laugh into the blanket. A sound soft and startling as spring thaw. When visiting hours ended, Lily gripped Daniel's sleeve with a sudden panic. You'll come back, right? Tomorrow, he said, steady. And the day after. And the day after that. She let go as if trust had weight and she could finally set some down. Driving home through the salt-streaked streets, Emily buckled herself in and looked older than 6 in the rearview mirror. Daddy, she said. Lily doesn't have a daddy or a mommy. That's not fair. No, he said. The word felt too small for the size of the wrongness. We have the extra room, Emily added matter-of-factly, as if proposing oatmeal for breakfast. You said maybe one day it could be for a brother or a sister. Maybe the day is now. His hands tightened on the wheel. It's not simple, he said, and it wasn't. Paperwork and home checks and classes and the jagged terrain of a wounded child's heart. But when they pulled into the driveway and the porch light flared to life, he couldn't stop seeing Lily's fingers curling into the edge of the hospital sheet when he said he'd return. He couldn't stop hearing she's not coming back. After Emily fell asleep under her unicorn blanket, Daniel stood in the doorway of the spare room. Neutral walls. An empty bookshelf. The quiet hum of possibility. He pictured lavender paint and glow-in-the-dark stars. A second bedspread matching Emily's. A side-by-side row of storybooks. A nightlight shaped like a moon. He didn't know the forms yet, the steps, the cost. He only knew the shape of yes forming in his chest. Back at the kitchen table, he scrolled through the card Miss Collins had slipped into his pocket. He dialed. Miss Collins? This is Daniel Carter. I'm sorry it's late. I needed to ask. What happens to Lily now? Her voice softened. Tonight? She sleeps. After that, we look for family, then foster care. What if someone wanted to be that foster? Silence stretched, careful and long. Then someone would need to understand what they're offering, she said at last. A child who has learned that love leaves. A child who might test whether yours will. I understand, Daniel said. He looked down the hall toward the open door of the spare room, already imagining the first glow star placed off-center by a small, determined hand. I want to try. Daniel sat at the kitchen table long after midnight, the house silent except for the faint hum of the heater. The mug of coffee in his hands had gone cold, untouched. Across the room, the spare bedroom door stood half open, a sliver of darkness inside. He thought about Lily's small hand clinging to his in the hospital, the way she had whispered, "She's not coming back." He thought about Emily's serious little face, insisting they had space for Lily, insisting it wasn't fair for her to be alone. The decision carved itself into him before he even realized he'd made it. He picked up his phone and dialed the number Miss Collins had given him. Mr. Carter? Her voice came through, groggy but alert. I'm sorry to call so late, Daniel said, staring into the darkness of the spare room. But I need to know, what happens to Lily now? There was a pause. If her mother doesn't return, she'll enter foster care. We're still trying to locate extended family, but so far, no one has come forward. Daniel's jaw clenched. What if someone wanted to foster her? The silence stretched so long he thought the call had dropped. Finally, Miss Collins spoke. That's an extraordinary thing to offer, Mr. Carter. But you need to understand, Lily has suffered severe trauma. She'll need therapy, patience, stability. You're already a single parent. I know what it's like to have your world collapse, Daniel said quietly. I lost my wife 3 years ago. Emily and I rebuilt our lives piece by piece. We have room now. We have love to give. And I can't let Lily disappear into a system when she's already trusted me. He surprised himself with the certainty in his own voice. The process wasn't simple. Paperwork, background checks, home visits, mandatory training. Every step reminded him this was no small commitment. But the thought of Lily in a stranger's house, clutching her blanket and waiting for someone who might never come, made the obstacles meaningless. When he told Emily the next morning, her eyes lit like Christmas lights. Does that mean she can be my sister? It means we're going to try, Daniel said, ruffling her hair. Over the following weeks, their home transformed. The spare room shed its neutrality. Daniel spent hours painting the walls a soft lavender, stringing glow-in-the-dark stars across the ceiling, building a small desk by hand. Emily insisted on helping, carefully choosing stickers and posters for Lily's walls. She needs unicorns, Emily said firmly. And books. Lots of books. The first night Lily came home, Daniel drove her from the hospital in silence, glancing at her often. She sat in the back seat beside Emily, clutching a plastic bag with her few belongings. When they pulled into the driveway, Emily jumped out, grabbing Lily's hand. Come on. You have to see your room. Daniel followed as the two girls ran ahead. Emily threw open the door with a dramatic sweep. Tada! Lily froze in the doorway. Her wide eyes scanned the lavender walls, the new bedspread with stars, the small bookshelf waiting to be filled. Her belongings looked so small on the bed, swallowed by the room's warmth. It's really mine? She whispered. Really yours, Daniel said softly. For as long as you want it to be. She stepped inside, one slow pace at a time, like crossing a threshold into another world. She walked straight to the window overlooking the backyard, where Emily's swing set stood under the bare oak tree. Can I swing? Anytime you want, Emily chirped. I'll show you how to go super high. That night, Daniel tucked both girls into their beds. He lingered at Lily's door, watching her tiny frame under the covers. Just after 2 in the morning, he woke to muffled cries. Rushing into her room, He found her huddled in the corner, shaking, eyes wild with panic. "I want my mommy," she sobbed. "Why did she leave me? Was I bad?" Daniel knelt, his own chest aching. "No, Lily. You were never bad. You are brave and good and loved. What happened wasn't your fault. It was her choice, not yours." It took nearly an hour before she returned to bed. Another hour before her breathing steadied into sleep. Daniel sat in the chair beside her the entire time, just as he had done for Emily after Anna's death. Over the following weeks, the pattern repeated. Small victories by day. Lily laughing at Emily's silly jokes, asking for help with shoelaces, daring to swing higher. Long nights of nightmares, tears, and whispered questions no child should have to ask. One morning at breakfast, Emily looked at Daniel with solemn eyes. "Daddy, can we keep her forever? Not just for now." Daniel glanced at Lily, who was quietly arranging her pancakes into neat squares, a small ritual for control. Her shoulders tensed, as if bracing for rejection. He reached across the table, resting a gentle hand over hers. "That's the plan, sweetheart. Forever." School proved to be both a blessing and a battleground. Emily loved showing Lily around, introducing her as "my sister," but children could be cruel. One afternoon, Daniel received a call from the school nurse. Lily had suffered what they believed was a panic attack. He arrived to find her curled in a chair, face pale, eyes swollen from tears. "Daddy," she choked out when she saw him, rushing into his arms. "What happened, sweetheart?" She buried her face in his shoulder. "We were drawing pictures of our families. I drew you and Emily and me, but Tommy said I was lying. He said you're not my real dad. He said I'm just a foster kid pretending." Daniel's heart clenched with fury, but his voice stayed calm. He knelt to meet her eyes. "Do you remember what the judge will say one day, Lily? That you are Lily Carter. That I am your father. That Emily is your sister. That's forever. Nothing anyone says can change that." Her lip quivered. "Promise. Promise." The next weekend, they framed the official foster placement papers and hung them beside her bed. "So you'll never forget," Daniel said. Lily traced the frame with her small fingers, as though anchoring herself to permanence. At night, when the house grew quiet, Daniel often found himself reflecting on how far they had come in such a short time. From a frozen road to lavender walls. From abandonment to belonging. From silence to the soft sounds of two girls giggling under blanket forts. But deep down, he knew the journey was far from over. The hardest trials, legal, emotional, and personal, still loomed. And yet, every time Lily called him Daddy, every time Emily looped her arm through her new sister's, he knew he'd walk through fire if it meant keeping this family together. The weeks that followed settled into a rhythm. Uneven, fragile, but real. Mornings were filled with cereal bowls, mismatched socks, and the scramble of backpacks. Evenings carried the quiet comfort of bedtime stories, puzzle pieces spread across the coffee table, and Lily slowly learning that laughter could exist without fear. But healing was not a straight path. Some days, Lily seemed like any 7-year-old. Racing Emily across the yard, squealing on the swings, clutching the unicorn Emily had given her. Other days, she froze at sudden noises, hoarded food in her dresser, or woke screaming in the night, convinced someone was leaving her again. Daniel never complained. He sat beside her bed until dawn if he had to. He let her fill the bottom drawer with granola bars and crackers, gently reminding her they would always have enough. He answered the same question over and over. "Are you sure you won't leave me?" With steady, unwavering patience. It was Emily who seemed to understand best. She would crawl into Lily's bed on the hardest nights, wrapping small arms around her new sister. "Daddy's not going anywhere," she would whisper. "Neither am I." Spring brought a school tradition. The family cafe, where parents were invited to share breakfast with their children in the gymnasium. Emily had been buzzing with excitement, eager for Daniel to come, but Lily's shoulders hunched whenever the event was mentioned. The morning of the cafe, the gym buzzed with chatter. Tables lined with muffins and juice boxes, walls decorated with drawings of stick figure families. Daniel guided both girls inside, Emily skipping ahead, Lily clutching his hand tightly. Whispers started almost immediately. Some children pointed, curious. A few parents exchanged looks. Daniel caught fragments. That's the new girl? Foster kid. Doesn't match. He crouched to Lily's level. Want me to get us a table near the back? She shook her head firmly. No. Here. With Emily. Emily plopped down at a table near the center, waving at her classmates. Lily sat stiffly beside her, eyes darting nervously. When one boy muttered something cruel about her, "Pretend dad," Emily slammed her juice box down. "He's not pretend," she snapped. "He's her dad because he chose her. That's better than anything you'll ever understand." Daniel felt pride swell in his chest as Lily's eyes widened, then softened with relief. Later, as they left, Lily tugged his sleeve. "Emily fought for me. That's what sisters do," Daniel said. Her next words were barely above a whisper. I think maybe I'm really part of this family." One night in April, Daniel lay awake, restless. Outside, the wind howled, rattling the gate in the school's community garden down the street. He had walked Emily and Lily past it many times, the latch broken, the wooden post sagging. At midnight, unable to sleep, he pulled on his jacket and went to the shed. He gathered tools, lumber, paint. Quietly, he slipped out, leaving the girls asleep. Under the pale glow of the street lamp, he worked through the night. He replaced the posts, fixed the gate, and hung a new sign he had carved from scrap wood. For Lily and Emily, always growing. By sunrise, children on their way to school found the gate freshly painted, adorned with flowers and handprints Daniel had traced earlier with the girls. Teachers smiled, touched by the gesture. That afternoon, Emily dragged Lily to see it. "Look, Daddy fixed it for us." Lily stared at the sign, her fingers brushing the carved letters. Her eyes glistened. "No one ever did something just for me before." Daniel knelt beside her. "Get used to it, sweetheart. You're worth it." Yet the storms weren't only outside. They brewed within Lily's fragile heart. One evening, Daniel returned from work to find Lily sitting on the porch steps, knees pulled to her chest, staring into the dark. "What's going on, honey?" he asked gently. She didn't look at him. "What if they send me away? What if one day you change your mind?" Daniel sank down beside her. "Do you see that room inside? The lavender one with the glow stars?" She nodded. "That's your room. Always. No papers, no people, no words can change that. You are my daughter. Period." Her lip trembled. "Even if I mess up? Especially then. Families don't disappear when things get hard. They stay. That's what makes them family." For a long moment, she was silent. Then she leaned into his side, her small frame pressing against him. "Okay," she whispered, a sister's gesture. At school, Emily had been assigned a project. "What does family mean to you?" On presentation day, she stood proudly at the front of the classroom, Lily watching nervously from her desk. Emily held up a drawing, two stick girls, one tall, one smaller, holding hands with a taller figure. "This is my dad, me, and my sister Lily. Family means someone always choosing you. Daddy chose Lily, and I chose her too." The room fell silent. Even the teacher wiped her eyes. Lily covered her face, embarrassed and overwhelmed. But later that night she whispered to Daniel. "She called me her sister in front of everyone. No one's ever done that." Daniel kissed her forehead. "That's because it's the truth." By summer, Lily had grown stronger, more confident. Yet uncertainty hovered like a shadow. One afternoon, Miss Collins arrived with news. Lily's biological aunt had been located in Wyoming. She wanted to visit to see if she could take custody. Daniel's heart clenched. He had known this was possible, but the thought of losing Lily felt like ripping open a barely healed wound. The meeting was arranged at the social services office. Lily sat stiffly beside Daniel, clutching Emily's unicorn. The aunt, a weary woman with lined eyes, entered the room with hesitant steps. "Hello, Lily," she said softly. Lily's response was polite but distant. She leaned closer to Daniel, whispering, "Can we go home now?" After the visit, Ms. Collins approached Daniel privately. The aunt admitted she can't take her. Too many responsibilities. She thinks Lily belongs with you. Relief flooded him so intensely his knees almost buckled. That evening, as he tucked her in, Lily looked at him with searching eyes. "Do I really get to stay?" Daniel's voice was steady, but his chest ached with emotion. "Forever, Lily. That's what I promised. Toward forever." By late summer, paperwork for permanent adoption began. Interviews, home inspections, endless forms. Daniel met each challenge with determination. He wanted nothing left to chance. One evening, Emily tiptoed into the living room where Daniel was reviewing documents. She carried a bracelet she had made from colored beads and string. "It's for Lily," she explained. "A heart for love, a house for home, a star for wishes, and this angel charm for her first mommy watching from heaven. So she knows she's still loved." Daniel's throat tightened as he pulled Emily into a hug. "Your sister is lucky to have you." The next day, Lily slipped the bracelet onto her wrist, eyes shining. "Now I have proof," she whispered. "Proof that I belong." The turning point. On a crisp September evening, the three of them sat at the kitchen table, homework and coloring pages spread around. Lily looked up suddenly serious. "Daddy, if you didn't stop that night, I'd still be walking. Maybe I'd still be lost." Daniel set his pencil down. "I didn't just stop for anyone. I stopped because I saw you, Lily, and I knew you were meant to be with us." Her small hand reached across the table, covering his. Emily's joined a second later. For the first time, Daniel realized this wasn't a family forming. This was a family already whole. November arrived clear and bright, the kind of cold that made the sky feel newly washed. Daniel buttoned the cuffs of his only suit and helped Emily smooth the skirt of her blue dress, the one with tiny printed flowers that Anna had bought months before the accident. Lily stood by the doorway in a red dress that flared when she spun, white tights, hair pulled half up with a ribbon Emily had insisted on tying herself. "Ready?" Daniel asked. Lily nodded, then checked her wrist. The bracelet Emily made, heart, house, star, angel, caught the morning light. She touched the little truck charm Emily had added last week. "For the night Daddy found you," Emily had said, solemn as a priest. They drove to the courthouse in Helena with the heater full blast and the radio low. Lily sat between Daniel and Emily in the bench seat, hands folded around a well-loved unicorn. Each stoplight turned the unicorn's horn into a prism of gentle colors across the windshield. Daniel kept one hand on the wheel, one on the bench behind the girl's shoulders, as if he could steer the whole day into goodness. Inside, the family courtroom felt softer than he expected. Sunlight warming the wood paneling, a potted fern drooping near a bookshelf of worn statutes. Miss Collins met them at the door, eyes bright. "You made it," she said, then bent to Lily's height. "Big day." In the first row sat Mrs. Hernandez with a camera she didn't quite know how to use. Sheriff Hayes in a pressed uniform that looked too formal for his kind eyes, and two of Daniel's co-workers who'd driven in after the night shift. Emily waved at them like a celebrity. Lily stayed close to Daniel's side, fingers hooked in the fabric of his jacket. The bailiff called their case. Judge Harrington, white hair, laugh lines deep and genuine, took her seat and reviewed the file briefly. "Lily," the judge said, voice like wool and tea, "do you understand what we're doing today?" Lily straightened on the chair between Daniel and Emily. "Mr. Daniel is going to be my dad forever, and Emily is my sister forever." "That's exactly right." The judge smiled. "How do you feel about that?" Lily looked up at Daniel as if asking permission to tell the truth. He nodded once. Her voice, when it came, was soft but steady. "Safe." The judge turned to Daniel. "Mr. Carter, are you prepared to accept full parental rights and responsibilities for Lily? To provide for her health, education, and welfare? To love, protect, and guide her for the rest of your life?" "Yes, Your Honor," Daniel said, the words landing like anchors, like vows he had already been keeping for months. "Emily," the judge said, eyes twinkling. Are you ready to be a big sister? Emily shot to her feet. I've been ready since the hospital. Laughter moved through the courtroom like a warm breeze. Lily smiled, small and astonished, as if the world were doing something gentle and she didn't quite trust it yet. Then by the power vested in me by the state of Montana, Judge Harrington said, lifting the gavel, I hereby grant the petition for adoption. From this day forward, Lily Marie Carter is the lawful daughter of Daniel Carter and the sister of Emily Carter. This court declares you a family. The gavel fell with a satisfying thud that sounded, to Daniel, like a door locking from the inside. Applause filled the room, soft, respectful, yet somehow huge. Mrs. Hernandez dabbed at her eyes and took a photo that flashed too late. Sheriff Hayes clapped once, then again, louder, like a man who didn't care for ceremony but cared for meaning. Lily turned to Daniel, joy and disbelief warring in her expression. Then she stepped onto the seat to reach him, small hands rising to frame his jaw the way she did when she wanted his full attention. She leaned close so only he could hear. You chose me, Daddy. For words, clean as a bell. They struck someplace old and locked inside him and shattered it into light. The air left his lungs. He pulled her against him, face buried in her hair, tears hot and unashamed. Emily wrapped her arms around both of them in a tangle of ribbon and sleeves. When they finally separated, Miss Collins handed Lily a folder with her new birth certificate. A keepsake, she said. Lily traced her new last name with a fingertip, careful and reverent, as if she were learning a sacred script. Outside, the steps of the courthouse were bright with cold sun. They posed for pictures, awkward, laughing, blinking against the glare. Sheriff Hayes crouched to Lily's level and showed her the badge on his chest. This says I protect people. But today, looks like your dad did my job first. Lily considered this. He does it every day, she said simply, then added, and so does Emily. They celebrated at a diner with red vinyl booths and a jukebox that ate quarters and pretended to be broken. The waitress brought a hot chocolate with extra whipped cream for the lady of the hour, and Lily tried to drink it slow but failed gloriously. Emily insisted on curly fries shaped like question marks. Daniel leaned back, memorizing the ordinary miracle of two girls snatching fries from each other's plates without fear it would be the last one. Speech, Mrs. Hernandez cried, lifting her coffee. Speech from the new Carter. Lily slid from the booth, stood on the seat, and cleared her throat with comically serious gravity. Today I got a dad and a sister forever, she said. But really, I think I had them for a while and the judge just said what was already true. The diner applauded. A trucker at the counter whistled once and wiped his eye with a napkin he pretended was for ketchup. On the drive home, the girls dozed against each other, the unicorn wedged between them like a peace treaty. The house greeted them with the smell of laundry and the soft jingle of the front door bell. Lily paused on the threshold of her lavender room, as if expecting it to disappear now that a wish had been granted. Didn't. The glow-in-the-dark stars waited on the ceiling. The framed paper beside the bed, the foster certificate replaced with the adoption order, caught the last gold of afternoon. Daniel tucked the blanket around her shoulders. Her eyes fluttered open. Home, she murmured. Home, he echoed. She smiled without moving. Don't turn off the stars yet. He didn't. He sat in the chair and watched the ceiling constellations blink alive one by one, a universe arranging itself into a shape a child could trust. Outside, November edged toward evening. Inside, the day forever began. Which part of this story touched you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to read them. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you won't miss any of our next emotional stories.